This episode's brought to you by Ridge. Take advantage of Ridge's once-in-a-year anniversary sale and get up to 40% off right now, and stay tuned after the video for more info. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my review of two movies that just hit theaters this weekend. I was switching out some equipment and I was on the road this week, so I'm a little behind the curve, but I wanted to talk about both of these because I was really interested to see both of them, and they both let me down in their own ways. And let's start with the new action movie that hit theaters this weekend. It's called A Working Man, and it stars Jason Statham, reuniting him with director David Ayer, who both left me speechless on every level with last year's The Beekeeper. Ayer co-wrote the screenplay along with Sylvester Stallone, who also co-produced the film, and it's based on Chuck Dixon's 2021 book Levin's Trade, the first in a series of stories featuring the character. We'll see if it's the first in a series of movies. Jason Statham once again plays a former commando, this time from the Royal Marines. His name is Levin Cade, and he's now working as a construction foreman in Chicago while he fights for custody of his daughter, who lives with her grandfather. In the grandfather's first scene, he wears a purple tracksuit and a pink fuzzy bucket hat. No reason is given for this in the movie, and it's never referred to again. When the construction company's owner, who's played by Michael Pena, finds out that his daughter has been kidnapped, Levin is asked to find her and bring her home. And because in the movies, when you're an ex-Royal Marine, you have access to unlimited weapons and surveillance technology, and you're a master of every kind of hand-to-hand fighting, it turns out that Levin is just the man for the job.
Are you a cop?
No. Are you?
Run your pockets, Chief. Let's check for that badge.
I didn't come here to be disrespected.
Now, my review of The Beekeeper from last year, I guess, was somewhat memorable because it stirred up every emotion I have as a movie fan, as a movie critic. I thought it was amazing and atrocious in equal measure. And to be honest, I was kind of looking forward to more of that in this movie. I wanted it to be almost completely appalling, and yet a movie that I couldn't wait to see again. And I think that might be one of the reasons that I was somewhat disappointed, because even though you have David Ayer back and you have Jason Statham back, this is a somewhat generic, you might say, standard action movie, which in itself isn't so bad, but when you look at who's behind it and what I know that they're capable of doing, it was a little bit of a letdown. Now, the movie does have its moments, like when Jason Statham tells his blind ex-Special Forces buddy, who's played by David Harbour, "I couldn't save your eyes. That eats at me." Or when Statham casually beats up and disarms a group of enforcers that show up at his job site, then goes back to doing foreman stuff because apparently nobody noticed the massive brawl that was happening over by the stack of cement. But A Working Man generally tries to play it too safe. They want to convince us that this version of Jason Statham is mainly a calm, cool, and collected problem solver who, when it's required, can hold his own in a fight. And maybe that's the Jason Statham that some people want to see, but it's not exactly where I think he works at his best. To me, it felt like the movie kept him chained up too much. I was enjoying myself the most when Statham was allowed to cut loose and mow down everyone in his path. And there are a few sequences like that, but not quite enough. In the action genre, especially when you get back to its roots, there are two real types of movies. There are the ones that play it a little bit more straight, movies more like Die Hard, and then there are movies that know exactly what they are and play up to that fact. Movies like Commando. And it felt like this movie was trying to be a little bit too much Die Hard when it should have been going a little bit more Commando. For one thing, I think that Jason Statham's character was way too blasé about finding this kidnapped girl, because instead of going mainly on a one-man force of destruction, race against time, he sets up these plans and plots and takes meetings that take days to set up. It really doesn't feel that urgent. And the girl that's kidnapped actually seems to do a good deal of her own rescuing. She really keeps herself alive. If anything, Jason Statham just comes in with a little bit of an assist at the end. I actually do enjoy these action movies for what they are, but the trade-off is that they themselves have to understand what they are. And this may sound like a weird criticism, but it almost feels like this was trying too hard to be a quote-unquote good movie. And I don't mind an action movie that's a good movie, but you have to have certain things in place. A better script than the script that this one has. Something a little bit more original. Characters that are more well-rounded if you're going to try to go for quality. This movie didn't have those characters, but it also didn't have the crazy, zany, over-the-top stuff generally, except for in a few places, that would make me excuse the kind of threadbare story and the stock characters. So it almost had the worst of both worlds. It's certainly not a terrible movie. I didn't hate it. It does overstay its welcome. I think it's about 20 minutes too long. So if you're looking for just a pretty standard generic action movie where Jason Statham does Jason Statham things, then I think that this one will hit the spot for you. But if you're looking for something closer to The Beekeeper, which was just absolute craziness almost from top to bottom, that's not exactly what this is. And when I'm looking at it on my own personal scale, I'm going to give A Working Man an It's Fine rating, the upper part of It's Fine, but it just didn't quite do enough to get that It's Good rating from me.
Nice to meet you, Levin. You ready, son?
I'm always ready.
Now, the second movie I was really looking forward to this weekend is called Death of a Unicorn, and it's from writer-director Alex Sharfman. It's actually his feature writing and directing debut. Ari Aster is an executive producer on the film, alongside stars Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. Rudd and Ortega stars a father-daughter duo who are visiting a dying billionaire and his family as Rudd positions himself to be the dying man's official proxy to his company's board when he dies. On the way to this secluded manor, they hit a unicorn with their car and later find out after its corpse is discovered that the unicorn holds magical properties that could be a scientific breakthrough. The supporting cast for this movie is packed. Richard E. Grant plays the dying billionaire, Téa Leoni plays his wife, and Will Poulter plays his son, a first-rate rich twit constantly running his own venture side of the family business. Anthony Carrigan and Jessica Hines play the family's loyal assistants. It's certainly an eye-grabbing cast, a lot of talent there, but the one who stood out to me more than anybody else was Will Poulter, because he seems to be modulating his performance to the best traits of this movie, which is when it's an over-the-top satire of the rich and the privileged and all of that stuff. Richard E. Grant hits those notes in a few moments as well, but Poulter really just makes the most out of every second that he's on screen.
Griff! Get Elliot a suit! Oh, no, really, it's okay.
He doesn't mind.
No, I'm okay. Griff! Forget it!
Death of a Unicorn is, in a way, one of the most frustrating kinds of films that I run across because it has a great cast, it has a great premise, and it has a few great ideas about what it wants to do, but it doesn't really have a strong approach to any of those ideas. There is a satire floating around about the obliviousness of the obscenely wealthy, best exemplified by Poulter's character. Anthony Carrigan also gets a lot of laughs when the movie decides to use him, which is too sparingly. There's an even darker satire surrounding Rudd's character as he constantly chooses the wealthy elite who sign his paycheck over his own daughter. But this approach would require Rudd's character to be wholly unlikable, and the movie chickens out on that concept. Jenna Ortega is largely put back into the role that we've seen her in many movies and shows before as the angry and disaffected teen. There's also the ridiculous idea of doing a monster movie, but instead of monsters, it's unicorns who are the monsters. The movie flirts with that here and there, but it too often just becomes a generic monster movie. It doesn't really have nearly as much fun with the premise as it could have. What's left is really a mishmash of all these different ideas, and it left me sitting there waiting for the movie to kind of kick it into gear on one of them, but it never really does. I was really excited for this movie, especially with A24 attached, but this is another example of getting a buzzy cast and a great distributor and a marketing team, but having it all be in service of a script that just wasn't quite ready. A24 has actually been way more inconsistent lately than we're used to them being, and I hope that they're able to even up their batting average a little bit, because I think what they're having to learn right now is it's not just enough to be weird or to be different. There actually has to be some there. And while there are lots of really good elements to this movie, I just don't think they cracked the overall concept. So my feelings are somewhat similar on this one as they were to A Working Man. It's on the It's Fine level on my personal rating just because there are some really good elements to the movie, but it's on the lower end of It's Fine, much closer to Not a Fan. And again, if you're looking for an A24 release, something unique, something different, something you haven't seen before, if you like the people that are involved in the movie, then yes, I think that you might want to give this a shot. But if you're looking for something that's a real breakout, something that might stick in your memory for more than a few days, I don't quite think this is going to be it, despite the really unique concept and the setup. So those are my thoughts on those two releases, both somewhat underwhelming for me. What do you think? Did you see these two? Are you seeing any other releases this weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I want to thank the sponsor for this video. This episode's brought to you by Ridge. You know, I used to be a fat wallet guy until I kept leaving it at home because it was so uncomfortable to have in my back pocket all the time. I kept taking it out. And other slim wallets that I've used have led to a lot of wear and tear on my cards, but I finally found a wallet that works for me, and it's made by Ridge. It's light, it's small, and I think it looks pretty awesome. I went with the titanium look, and it's definitely the coolest looking wallet that I've ever had. Ridge wallets are super thin, yet can carry up to 12 cards and cash without adding any unnecessary bulk, and everything in there is secure. I've never had anything fall out in my pocket. And they're made from high-performance materials like carbon fiber, titanium, and stainless steel, which means they're built to last and come with a lifetime warranty. Plus, every Ridge wallet comes with RFID blocking technology to protect you from digital pickpockets. And for a limited time, Ridge is having a crazy sale. You can get up to 40% off of your order by going to ridge.com/Dan10. That's ridge.com/Dan10. You can also customize your wallet with your favorite NFL team, add the Ridge AirTag attachment so you'll always know where your wallet is, and no matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all of their products. Right now, Ridge is having their once-a-year anniversary sale, and again, you can get up to 40% off at ridge.com/Dan10. Just head to ridge.com/Dan10 to see their biggest sale of the year, and after you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them, so please support the show and tell them that I sent you. Thanks to the Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned right here for more movie news, reviews, box office, and more. Pardon my voice if it's a little weak. I'm still getting over a cold. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.